this will not be a slow class, I'm hoping. This will be quite a quick class. I do speak quickly, but the good news is if you don't want to write anything down, first of all, they're recording this session. And secondly, see that blog up there, blogs.adobe.com/jkost? That's my blog. All the content's free. 2,000 plus blog posts about Photoshop and Lightroom and everything you want to know. It is so good, I use it all the time. You laugh, I'm not joking. Sometimes when I haven't spoken on a subject, by the way, I'm Julieanne Kost. I do work for Adobe Systems. I've worked there since 1992. Please don't do the math. Sometimes I forget things, so I watch my own videos. That's not the worst part. I see myself say things I've never known. That gets startling. So today, we're going to talk a lot about tips and tricks from A to Z. So my goal was A to Z, right? I was going to give you a tip for every letter of the alphabet, right? But I don't really know the alphabet. I know the Photoshop alphabet. Do you guys know that? A is for direct select, B is for the brush tool, C will give you cropping, and D is for your default colors, E is for the eraser tool, F will go to full screen mode, G is for the gradient, and H is for the hand tool, I is for the eyedropper, and J is for the healing brush, K is for the new frame tool. Come on, let's go, let's get with it. Now, if you're not gonna sing it, I'm not gonna keep going. But anyway, so I just thought in like 75 minutes, that's not quite enough time, so I'm sticking really close to what I told everyone I would talk about, which is really layers and masking, and then smart objects, and then some automation, and then some libraries, styles, presets, and all that stuff. And so it's a ton of information, and so hold on, because we are gonna zip through it. I'm just gonna scoot out of this slide right here, and we are gonna go into, actually Lightroom, because I'm gonna start there. And sorry, but you all have to disappear now because it's either you or the computer screen. I can see approximately this far and no further. So if you have a question, raising your hand is not going to help. All right, so sorry you guys, and I have to put a little humor in this because seriously, it is 5 o'clock and it has been a long day. 5:15, I believe. So the jokes sometimes are just for me. Don't feel bad if you don't laugh. All right, so we'll start easy. We'll start like this is like a gym class and we're just kind of warming up, right? Because this is advanced, but everything is like, what is advanced? Like someone who never touches the type tool, anything type is advanced, right? So we're just gonna open this up. I just use Command E to edit this. By the way, my biggest tip of the day is when you're at home working, don't use a tablecloth as your mouse pad because the mouse doesn't really like it very much. So this will be Photoshop via trackpad today. All right, so very easy. I just need to align a bunch of images and put them with equal spacing. So this was something that was very difficult to do. And I don't know how you guys select your layers. Like I know a lot of people, let me just scoot that up there. I know a lot of people select their layers by going to auto select, but when you get those really complex layers and you've got like adjustment layers and stuff and then it selects the wrong thing. And so I usually leave that off and then I just control click and then I can select my layers. And see if you name your layers, it's super helpful because then you'll know exactly, I want layer 2. Right? Because you know that that's layer 2 and you can move that. And then I'll go ahead and do that. That must be layer 6 then. So we'll select that. All right, so I'm just going to move those 2 into position, right? But now if we look, I'll just turn off all the ones at the bottom. I have all these other layers here, right? Let's scoot this up to make sure. Oh, well, I didn't mean to do that. Let me show you how to change the layout of your workspaces. Okay, so I just want this up a little higher. All right, so we've got this water and ice, right? So we've got multiple layers here. So I've put one on the far left, one on the far right. Using the guides, I select all of the other layers, and then it's very easy, right? If I just come up here, I can use the layer menu, but it's easier to use the dots. And then instead of just aligning them, because that's not gonna do what you want it to do, right? Because if you have different shaped objects, it's not going to put equal spacing in between them. You need to actually distribute based on spacing, which is right there. And then we can just put them all like top aligned and they'll all have that nice even spacing in between. So that actually was new, I think, in the last version of Photoshop, but I don't think very many people know it's there. The thing is, whenever there's like a little icon that you have to click and then you have to pick something and it's an icon, well, I don't know if this joke will even work, but I was like the only one that my VCR still flashed 12. Because those icons, like they don't really make sense to me a lot of the times. And I don't know when they're in the depressed state and when they're in the anti-depressed state. And so what I do a lot of times is I just assign a keyboard shortcut to it, or look at, if you have simple things like you just need to distribute based on spaces, you can make a little action, and then you just put your action in button mode, and then you can just click on it and it does it. What? Okay, so look, I've got this other layer group. So here is, I don't know what layer this is. This is layer 8. That's logical. We'll put that there, and then we come over here, and that's layer 13. That's terrific. And then we just select all of those layers, right? But now I can just click right there in the layers panel, and it would distribute it for me. The top one I can get, so I'm okay with that one. But those other icons don't make sense. So how do you do that? Do you guys know actions? How many of you guys are using actions? Okay, you either know them or you don't. So for those of you who don't know them, I'm going to come out of button mode. And this is what your actions panel would look like. And you can just create sets, which are basically just folders. So this would be, new folder number 295. All right? And then in there, whatever you do, I'm just going to do no, I won't do an undo because that'll undo that. But basically, you would just select your layers, and then whatever you pick, when you actually start recording, it just captures that command that you're doing, right? So you'd create a new action, and this would be distribute, right? And you just say, okay, and you'd hit record, and then you would just click on the distribute, spacing, boom, there it is. You've recorded it. That's it. That's all you have to do. If you wanted to, you could double click on this, or boom, boom, right there, and you could actually color code it. So I could say, all right, well, that's my yellow one. And then when you go into this button mode right here, then there it is right there, all highlighted and everything for you. And of course, you don't have to have your actions there, right? If you have 2 monitors, you can put it on a second monitor. If you want to, you can bring them down along the bottom here. And it just might be an easier way if you just can't remember, because I know a lot of you go between Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign and all those different keyboard shortcuts, and sometimes it's just like, I just want a button. And so that might be a lot easier for you to just go into button mode. The only thing you can't do in button mode is you can't create the action. You have to exit button mode and then make your actions. Okay, so that was just a little warm-up, just a little stretch there about what we're going to do today. Let's do another little stretch here with blend modes. And just out of curiosity, how many of you guys are designers? I'm going to design, and then how many photographers out there? Do we have any photographers? Excellent, right on. Okay, I'm both. Okay, I know. How many of you hate it when the person asks you to raise your hand? Okay, all right. So this is just a document I have that I thought we would just kind of warm up with our little blend modes, right? So we have, this is just an edge. I want to make this kind of little edge effect on here, but basically it's white paint painted on black. I want the inverse of that, so we probably all know that if we select the layer and we do Command I, it will invert that. Or maybe it was black paint on white. I'm not sure how it started. But we know that we can go and we can say, all right, well, let's select the Move tool and then use Shift plus, and we'll go down through all of the blend modes. All right, or you can do Shift minus, or you can be smart and you can know that if you hold down the Option plus the Shift key and you go N, that'll be normal, and you go S, that'll be screen, and you go M, that'll be multiply. But again, I can't remember all of these, so what I've done instead is I've just created little buttons that say, all right, now I don't have to go down through all of those ones like pin light and hard light and never use me light, right? And then difference, I saw that. I used that the first week I started with Photoshop. Everybody does. It gives those great blues and crazy colors, right? It's really cool, but everyone goes, I know that blend mode, right? So now all I have to do is just click on these and say, all right, well, which one do I like? Well, I like screen on this one. And then we go up and we say, ooh, did you photograph an eclipse? Yes, I did. So let's go ahead and just say, well, I want the eclipse, but not the rest. So again, we just hit screen. But then I go, what's all this stuff here, right? Well, that's because on that edge file, there was white, black, and shades of gray, right? So if I want to get rid of that, all I need to do is add an adjustment layer. And I don't know what you guys like. I like curves personally. The nice thing about curves now, because they're in the properties panel, is that little icon right here. That's your clipping mask. Because I don't know about you guys, but the layers panel is getting really small for me. Sometimes I'm trying to hit things, and there's a lot of active places. Like, it depends on where you right mouse click, you get different stuff. So anytime I see another icon that's somewhere else, I'm like, yeah, I like that one. So because right now, if I make a change to this, it's going to change all of the layers underneath, so the edge and the background, right? But as long as I clip it, or I make a clipping group, it's the same thing as going here to layer, right, and then creating a clipping mask, right? I can just do that by clicking on this icon right here, and that way I can either say, all right, well, let's bring over those blacks. So now I've made all of this, I've just pushed it to black so I can't see it, because we know that in screen mode, black disappears, right? Just like we know in multiply mode, white disappears, okay? So then if we come up here and we do some birds, we go, okay, we've got some birds silhouetted against the sky. Well, that's pretty easy. All we need to do is multiply mode. So if I go to my actions, I can just say, well, I just want multiply, or I can use the keyboard shortcut. But a lot of times this happens, right? So now you've got this little edge going on right here. We do the same thing. In fact, I could just hold down the Option key and drag the curve up above the birds. That makes a duplicate of it, right? Then I just have to click on the curve, brings it up in the Properties panel, I clip it, and it's actually already done it for me, because all I needed to do was let's set that back right there. Let's actually delete that pin right there. And then I'm just gonna bring over my white point and see how it gets rid of that corner, because it's pushing everything. You guys know, everything to the right of this is gonna go to pure white. So again, with screen, it's gonna disappear. All right, and then we've got kind of that weirdness over there. So we add our layer mask and we grab our brush, right? B for brush, and then left bracket to get a smaller brush. And what do I need to paint with? We need to paint with black, right? We come along here and we go, bye, bye, birdie. I told you sometimes the jokes are just for me. All right, then we come right down here. It is software after all. Okay, so great. Oh, scary picture. Sorry, it was right before Halloween though, and I was like, oh, that'd be cute. Okay, then when we start adding textures and stuff, then we probably want to use these other blend modes, which most of the time is going to be what and what? Overlay and soft light. All right, so there's soft light, that looks nice. Julieanne, there's two suns. Yeah, that's my world, it's Photoshop. Do not judge, all right? Or we could try overlay, that's a little bit too bright, but we could keep overlay and then just tap like 6, because that would give us 60%. If we tap 6, it'll give you 66%, but be really careful, because if you do tap 6, it will reformat your hard drive. I totally forgot they were recording this, and that's probably not gonna go over well in somewhere. Okay, so let's grab the texture layer. I'll grab that one right there, and again, we'll just say, hey, what about overlay, or what about soft light? Soft light looks good. I'm just gonna leave it alone. Okay, I'm disturbed by the moon as well, so we'll just tap J. That'll give us the healing brush. And I really like that control option. You know, this, what do they call it? A HUD, a heads-up display, right? So I always forget though, on Windows, it is what? What's the shortcut? Don't make me go to my blog. Oh man, you guys. Okay, there's the blog. Oops, don't do that. Increase brush size. Increase the brush size. Okay, 20 brush and painting tools. Well, that should be one of them. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Da, 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 da. No. So you're using the HUD. Here we go. On Windows, Control. I think this is wrong. Control Alt right click. I think there's too many there. It's either Control right click or Alt right click. I'll look into that. I'll get back to you. It's one of those. You Windows people, you can try it. You're smart enough. You'll try it. It doesn't work. You'll try the other one. It'll work. Okay. All right, let's go back to Photoshop. So I was just going to get a little bit larger of the healing brush, and bloop. Bye-bye, it's gone. Okay, terrific. So that's just, all right, are we warm? Are we feeling warm? We've done a few laps around. Okay. All right, let's close that. We don't need to save it. So then when we go here to this image and we open it up, then we need to talk about a few of the other blend modes, because a lot of times what will happen is we'll add some other layers. So we can delete these for right now, but I'll go to the bottom of the layers panel and we'll just add a solid color fill layer. I'm sure you guys have done this, and you get a solid color. It could be a gradient, it could be a solid color, whatever it is. You can't see through it. And I want to see through it, so I need to isolate the component, hue, saturation, color, or luminosity, so that it only affects one of those things, and in this case, it's going to be color. So that makes it very easy. That is very ugly, probably the worst one I've ever done. Let's double click on that and change the color. Okay, let's just, I don't know about you guys, but that is about as saturated as I like my colors. Someone told me my color palette is somewhere right between doom and gloom. I don't mind. All right, so anyway, the point is color isolates it so that you only get the color attributes, which is hue and saturation, and you don't get any of that luminosity, right? So you probably already knew that, or maybe you knew that because when you usually add a curves adjustment layer, because you want to make a change, maybe we want to make this a little more contrasty, so we add a nice little S curve there. But a lot of times, what happens when you do that? You're not just changing the luminosity values, you're changing your color and saturation as well. So in order to isolate that, if you ever get a color shift, because you have to make a big change in your curve, just change the blend mode of that down to luminosity. And now that curve can only affect the luminance values, and it can't give you those color shifts, which typically increase saturation. So there's one other example I just want to show you with this. Let's delete that. And that is the black and white adjustment layer, because I'm sure you're thinking, well, I might not want my image to go to black and white, but I want to manipulate the color ranges in the image. And this is one of the ways that you can do this. So I'm just going to bring this down to luminosity. And you're going to think, well, that doesn't make any sense. You added a black and white adjustment layer, and you're telling it to only affect the luminosity of your image. Yeah, so I still get my color, but I get all of these different color ranges that I can shift. So if I grab my on-canvas control, my little scrubby slider right here, if I just click in the blues and move left or move right, I can isolate and just move the blues color range because I'm working with the luminosity value. It's as if I've changed it to black and white, but I didn't because I used the luminosity blend mode, so it's really in color. So I could come over here and say, yeah, I want to adjust the greens and make them darker or lighter, or I guess evidently I don't know what green is because green is yellow. That's the slider that was moving. All right, but you see my point. I can come in here and I can move these underlying color ranges to darken them or lighten them because I'm using this adjustment layer. So just something to think about. These blend modes, they're pretty darn cool. All right, enough with blend modes. Let's keep going. So these two images, if you're using Bridge, which I'm sure many of you are, I use Bridge for all of my client work, my design work, and really I just use Lightroom for my own photography. But if I were to come in here and say edit in, if I want to edit them in as pixels, then that's just fine. If I want to open them as smart objects, that's fine. If I want to open them as layers in Photoshop, now it will open up those two documents into a single image, right? And if you're using Bridge, you would just select them in Bridge and go under Photoshop Tools and then load files into layers. So now basically it's opened both of the documents, but they're in one layer. So I just brought up this image because I wanted to show you kind of I don't know how you guys think. Some people think in masks and some people think in blend modes. And so if you think in blend modes and you just wanted to like apply this, well, I actually want to invert it because I don't want dark edges. So again, we're just going to do the simple example of, this is just, I got a piece of paper and just tore it up. And then you stick it on the scanner, right? Anytime you want to make any edge effect or anything like a deckled edge, just rip the paper, stick it on the scanner, and leave the scanner open, because then when it scans, the light just falls off to black. So you'll get the white and black. I have a camera. Okay, or you could just use a camera. All right, either way is fine. In my pocket all the time. All right. Anyway, my point was here, if we go back to screen for just a minute, that's absolutely fine, but what if you're working with multiple layers, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the background layer here. We'll go to Lightroom and I'll just pick these 4 images. And again, I'm just gonna right click and then say edit in, and then we can go ahead and load these up as layers in Photoshop. Now, unfortunately, it's not gonna load them into the open document, or maybe that's fortunate, maybe it's a feature, I'm not sure. But basically, it's gonna load them into a secondary document, which is fine, because that's still gonna save me time. Oh. Sorry, I have a keyboard shortcut that I really would love. If you're doing any composite work or you ever have more than one image open, be sure to come into Window and then Arrange. No, see, this is why I assigned the keyboard shortcut. Window, Arrange, and then Consolidate to Tabs and Tile. I don't ever want to go through that menu structure because I do this 50 times a day because I always have multiple files open. So you guys know how to assign a keyboard shortcut? Okay, it's pretty easy, right? You just go, if you don't know where it is, it's right here. You just go to keyboard shortcuts, and then you would pick like application menus or tools or whatever, and then you just scroll down and you go to window and you come down here, and there they are right there. So consolidate to tab. You can pick whatever you want. I just do Shift Command T to tile, because T for tile makes sense to me. It removes it from something. I think it's a free transform again command. And then consolidate all to tabs, the Shift Command R. That's just because they're right next to each other on the keyboard, so it's super fast for me to go back and forth between them. So once you set that up, it's like Command Shift R, Command Shift T. You see all your files. I say, okay, great. I need to select all these on the layers panel. Just drag and drop them in here. You'll hold the Shift key down, and you're good to go. Then we can close that other document. We don't need it. And let's get the move tool, and what do we have here? We've got them all selected, that's what we've got. So hey, I don't want the hey. Let's get, yeah. Okay, what are the cornrow ones? Oh, that one will go on the bottom. We'll put that right down there, and then what's this one? This is more hey, right there. Let's see, that would be probably every other one then, because then this one could go up at the top. No, let's put that one there. I'm sure you guys are more decisive than me, but sometimes I'm not so decisive. Okay, I'm a Gemini, it's okay. Everything's good. All right, so I have multiple images and they're on this crazy stacking order, so I'm gonna need to change that. But what I wanted to show you is if I put them in a group, right? So Command G, now they go in a group. So these are all my images. I can do one of two things. Like I can just put this on top of the group and, okay, so do any of you ever have this issue where you try to put it on top of the group and yeah, okay. So you know what you do? You put the group underneath. Okay, sorry, but it is true. The other, because I don't know, I haven't figured out why it happens, but the other thing that you can do is you can close the group. You know what, that's a good little tip. If you close the group, because if you have the group open and you have a layer selected and you click to add a new layer, it's gonna go in the group. But if you have the group closed and you click the layer, it's always gonna add it on top. Well, that's because when you close the group, it selected the group. Well, that could be. So that might not be a great shortcut. That might just be obvious. All right, well, you guys think about that one. Okay, so I'm just gonna tap the delete key to delete that, and then I'm gonna put the paper above. Success, okay. All right, and then I could just use the blend mode, but that's not really what I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna do a quick select all and then copy that, and then I'm gonna hide that layer because some people don't think in blend modes, they think in masks. They use masks all the time. So it might just be easier, once you've got all these layers in the group, is to just add the mask to the group. Now, the problem is when you hit paste, Command V, oh, lovely, you just paste another layer. You have to be looking at the group. You have to be like, group, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at the mask. I am focused on the mask. Mask, I appreciate you. And what I want to do is I want to paste into you. Command V, okay? You can't just have it selected. You have to be engaged with it. It wants a commitment from you, or it's just going to paste a new layer. It's like, I don't really think you want a mask, because I think you need a layer, and layers get all the credit. All right, so we can just dump that now. Okay, so what do I have? So now I have a mask. So what is it? It's exactly the opposite of what I wanted. So Command I, we just invert that, and then we just have to go and look at our layers again and go, okay, let's look. Lone tree should be at the top, and let's move it up. And we have a selection, so let's deselect as well, and then use our little edge, our little arrow keys. That's cute. And then we go to hay. Oh, we can leave the hay alone. Where's the, oh, nope, that's the bottom one. Yep, let's just change that stacking order right there and use the move tool and toot, 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 toot. There you go. And then, you know, Photoshop does like it when you actually make sound effects, just in case you're wondering, especially when free transforming and stuff, it totally digs that. So anyway, my point is, if you're doing anything where you need to overlay something, you really have to think about, do you want to do it as just its own layer and change the screen or the blend mode, or do you want to actually paste it into the layer? All right, so we don't need that open anymore. Okay, so let's go to this image. Oh yeah, we need to talk about layer groups for a minute. Let's make sure I didn't mess anything up here. No, okay, because we got a lot to get through. So here are some layer groups. Let's, look at that guide. It's gray. It's not cyan. Oh yeah, I know, sometimes, let's see, let's double click in the rulers. Can we do that? Yeah, double click in the rulers brings up preferences, so we're almost there. And then I go to grids, guides, and slices. Light gray, you can pick whatever color you want. It does not have to be screaming cyan. It is lovely. Color, geez, so hard. All right, so what else do we have here? What do we have? Goodness, we have a lot of layers here, so let's just go through them so you know what we're doing. We have a white rectangle, okay, no big deal. Clip to that is the photo on the right-hand side. Then we have a little ellipse there, that's cute. And then we have a bunch of little layers that go around the ellipse. Those are lovely. And then we have Oh, what are those? Ugh, turn those off. Then we have some text. Okay, great. So 6 reasons to use layer groups. First one is just organization, right? Like, oh, our layers panels go crazy. So just select them and then Command G, that puts them in a group, and then you label it type, right? So there's your first thing. Because that then is going to allow you to do what? Well, if you use the move tool and you go free transform, it's going to let you transform them all at once, right? So that's quite lovely. It would allow you to reposition them all at once, right? So whenever you want to work with multiple layers as a unit, throw them in a group. It'll also allow you to change the opacity of the group, right? So if I just tap 6, let's see, do I have the group selected? Yes, and 60%. Okay, well that wasn't much. Let's do 3 so you guys can see that, right? So point being is that all of the contents in the group, when you change the opacity of the group, take on that opacity, all right? And you can tap 0 to get back to 100%. You can tap 0, 0 to hide something, and then 0 again to bring it back, but it's actually easier to use Command, comma. Because the nice thing about Command, comma is if you had a bunch of, do we have any art directors out there? I'm sure we do. Don't raise your hand. Never mind. I don't want to know. So if you had an art director who was like, well, I want to see that image, and then can you turn off that one, and then maybe turn off that one? You'd be like, yeah. And they're like, okay, now turn them on again. You're just like, ah. Okay, that one, and it was that one, it was that one, right? But you could just select them, right, like this, and then you could use Command, comma to turn them off, and then Command, comma to turn them on again. Right, so it turns them all on, and everything that's selected, the visibility on and off at once. So that might be a little easy, a little tip for you. Okay, so what was I going to do? So organization, changing opacity. We could change the blend mode. That'd be 3. We could, let's grab these guys and put them all in a group too. We reposition things in a group. Oh, layer styles. But this one's tricky. So this is as designed. I don't know if you've discovered this. So I'm going to go on a single layer. Which layer is it? It's the one on the left side, like 10 o'clock. All right, so then we go down to the effects, and I say, let's do something that's going to be super obvious, like a stroke. All right, so I'm going to add a stroke. This is going to be a beautiful red stroke. Oh, why do 1 pixel when you can do 10? Okay, so we've got this gorgeous stroke, right? And it's just on one layer though. And so yes, I can copy this and I can paste the effect on all the other layers, but then if I make a change and they say, oh, I only want it to be 3 pixels, then I have to go and change every single one, or it's a hassle. So instead you would think, well, just put it on the group. Great. Now everything that's in that group gets that stroke. Terrific, right? Yes, Julieanne, that's brilliant. Oh, I want to do that next time. Okay, and then you're going to get your move tool and you're going to reposition this. It's a feature. See? It's like magic. They merge together. So what's going on? So when you put items in a group and then you apply something to the group, Photoshop treats them as if they are merged together and then applies the effect, which can be really cool, but sometimes if you don't know that it's going to do that, it can take you by surprise. All right? So I just wanted to show you that. So in this case, they're fine. Nothing's overlapping. I can add drop shadows, I can do whatever I want, but the second they overlap, then you might need to change what you're doing, copy and paste them all to individual layers instead of adding it to the group. All right, the same goes with blend modes, by the way. So if I select these 2 layers, and let's just see which one, okay, it's that one. So I'm gonna change this to multiply. Well, that's not really gonna do anything, is it? I'll show that to you in a minute. Because it is cool, but this is a silly example to show it to you with. Yeah, it is. Okay, so another reason to use groups would be, I'm sure this never happens. Does anyone ever change their mind? So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I really like the aerial shot of the glacier on the right, and I like the circles on the left, but can you just maybe put a single photo instead of the circles? Well, sure, because I can toggle on another image, but I know that on Monday, they're going to want that again. So I don't want to ruin that. I worked for art directors. I know. Okay, and I'm like, I just don't want to get rid of that. So what if we just put this here and we say, oh, okay, well, you go to lunch and I'll stay here and work and I'll fix that for you. And then you just create a clipping group and it just clips it to all the contents in the group. Right? So now the photo is only going to show up where there's contents in the group below. All right? And they say, oh, I don't really like that photo. I wanted this photo. Okay, well, we can just do the same thing. And the great thing about this is you say, oh, well, I didn't like that. I can toggle that off. Okay, what about this image? Well, I want to move it around. Not a problem, because it's independent from the group of images below. So yes, I could go and grab all those masks and copy and paste them to this layer, but this might be easier, more flexible, just easier, and then you can tidy up stuff whenever you make your final decision. Or you just save it as a multi-layered document and you never have to make a decision. Photoshop, for all of us who have a fear of commitment. All right. What else do you need to know in here? I think probably that's it. Let's go ahead and close that and let's move on. So now, what about this and what about this? Let's go to here first. I don't want to skip over too much stuff, but we should talk a little bit about, oh, I need to open it in Photoshop. There we go, edit the original so it doesn't flatten it. So what do I have? So I have just a bunch of shape layers here, right? So 1 shape, 2 shape, 3 shape, 4 shape, and then I've got this brightly, see, I'm not good with color, that's the reality of it. But I kind of like those colors, okay. So I've got this bright texture, and I want the texture to only appear where those shapes are. And again, this is just a different way of thinking about things, because you might be thinking about using blending modes, or you might be thinking about pasting into a mask. And you're gonna get two very, very different results. So if I select all these, I'll just put them in a group to tidy them up. And then I just start using Shift plus or Shift minus to go down through the different blend modes. All right, I can find one that I kind of like maybe that one, but let's clip it so that it only affects, right, those little guys. So what have I got here? Why is it not working? Tap V. Why are you stuck on hard light, soft light? You know, don't you hate it when you're like, oh, this program, it just doesn't work. I mean, I just don't understand. Like, what? Oh, wrong key. Oh, wrong key. Sorry, Photoshop. So see, when Photoshop isn't working right, it might just be because you're not being sincere. Just saying. All right. So those are some cool effects, right? So luminosity, I can kind of get that nice little texture over there. But let's go ahead and dupe this. I'm just going to Option drag it above. No. Okay, come on. I'm going to Option drag it right there. Yeah. All right. And then I'm going to move it over here. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to click on the bright paper, select all, copy, be sincere, select the group, add the mask, say hi mask, I want to focus on you, Option click on the mask, I'm engaged with you, and then hit paste. And what you get is a very, very different feeling. So if you're making any graphics or anything, instead of using the blend modes, like if you want to make a graphic look more gritty, like you've got an illustration like a shape layer and you want to add a little texture to it, you can always try the blend modes to overlay the texture, but you might also want to paste in the mask. Because then look, I can select the mask, go into levels, and I can change how the values, the tonality of the mask, like I can change that. Using levels, just like you saw. Needs no other explanation, you saw it, all right? So we can set basically new black points and white points, and if you're looking at the mask, which is really small, right there though, what we're doing is we're changing these to black or white. Okay, let's close that. Don't need to save it, keep going. Grid, all right, what about this guy? So this one, let's do Command E and edit the original here. Just a little bit more about layers. So I don't need the guide showing, Command 0. So a lot of times, I don't know about you guys, actually, can I get a show of hands? So I'm going to hide my rulers for a minute. When I do Command 0, would you rather have Command 0 look like this or like that? Did anyone see the difference? What's the difference? There's a little bit of space around it, isn't there? How many would like to see a little bit of space around it? Oh, I love you all. I don't know if any of the product managers are here, but why is that? I don't know why it is. I think it's because I'm afraid that I'm not seeing the whole image. And so I just need that little bit of feedback. Okay. I'm very excited now. Okay, all right. Because sometimes, I mean, when you've worked there as long as I do, I think sometimes I'm talking and I'm like, womp, 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 womp. They're like, oh, not her again. Oh, what does she want this time? Okay, so let's talk about finding stuff, right? So if I wanted to find something because I didn't know where the feature is, I think that's one of the biggest differences between people who are growing up with computers. They don't like go look. Like you never see people today going like, oh, I'm gonna go look for that image. I think it's like in my demo files, in my image vault, in my 2018, in my Iceland folder. They don't, like they're so much smarter about it, right? So if I wanted to find something and I didn't know where it was in Photoshop, I could use Command F. And it'd be like, well, what do I want to look for? Well, how about, where's that darn oil paint filter? Well, there it is. It's gonna say, all right, do you want everything, which is Photoshop, Learn, Stock, and Lightroom Photos, or do you just want to go to Photoshop? Just Photoshop. Oil paint, there it is. It's unavailable. Why? Because I'm not committed. Because let's see, right? Because that's the type of folder, because I'm on a mask. Really? All right, anyway, so I can apply it to a filter. So point is, Command F brings it up. If you want to know where cropping is, whatever you want, it will select the tool. If it's like, oh, you know what, is it crop and straighten, or do you actually want to reveal all? So it's gonna give you a lot of things surrounding what you might be searching for. So that's pretty cool. You might not even know it's getting late. You might not even know that there's a perspective crop tool in Photoshop, and now you do. Okay, but there's another shortcut for those of you who actually do name your layers. So let's talk about two things here. I'll escape out of there. So you don't have to really remember a shortcut here because it's still the F key, but it's just Command Option Shift F, and so it's just everything. So you don't have to remember which one it is, it's all of them. And what that does is it automatically takes you to your layers panel and it highlights the text field, so you could say, hey, I'm looking for the wing layer. And then it just will show you that layer, right? It just finds it. Now, you do have to name your layers. It didn't really know it was a wing. We should get Sensei on that, though, I think, all right? But you can just enter in whatever you want, so that might be a little incentive for you to name your layers so you can just find them. But there's tons of other ways that you can filter your layers panel, right? So if we go back up to kind, which is the default, I don't think I have any text layers, no, but I'm pretty sure I've got some smart objects, so we can filter on smart objects, we can filter on just our adjustment layers. But think about that, if you had a design or a layout or something and it has like 40 layers that all have text in it, you can just filter on text, select all those layers, go to the type tool and just change your font. And we change it for all of them all at once, right? Okay, so let's turn that off. Another thing though, that if your layers panels are getting super, super complicated and you do like I just want to work on the wings of this image. So I'm going to select those layers and then we have this thing called isolate layers. If you go to select, it's isolate layers, and if you use it all the time, just assign a keyboard shortcut to it. If you don't use it all the time, you can just, oh, wrong one. You can just come up here, turn that on. So I'm just toggling it on here, but did I select it there? Anyway, no, I should have gone to select it. Okay, I'm not, timeout. You all can look into the light now for a moment. I'm gonna back out of here. All right, I've got my wings layers selected. Oh, that's why, because I messed up my selection. Okay, there we go. And then, did I choose isolate layers? Nope. But there it is, okay? And it switched it to selected. I don't know why I couldn't access selected there a moment ago, but I'm sure it was, I'm sorry, Photoshop, I'm doing something wrong. I will learn, I promise, and I'll get back to you on why I messed up. It's not you, it's me. All right, but so all my layers are still in the document, right? It's just that I can focus on the ones that I had selected and just work with those in case you've just got this ridiculously complicated layers panel. Okay, let's close that up. And let's come to this image right here. How many of you guys use layer comps? Yeah, okay, so I don't think many people do because they're complicated, but I'm gonna show them to you and they're gonna be so easy, you're just gonna love them. Oh, these are already, oh, I'll show you a new feature. So these are already smart objects, so I'm just going to convert them back to layers, which is a nice new little feature because sometimes you make something into a smart object and then you don't want it to be a smart object and you don't wanna rasterize it because if I rasterized it, it would flatten those layer effects, right? So what do I have? It's very simple. I've got a stoplight right here, okay? All right. I want to convert these into smart objects, and then I'm going to make layer comps inside of the smart objects. And then I'm going to be able to access those layer comps in the parent document. Okay, so I've got a parent document right now. It has 3 layers, the red, the yellow, and the green. And they all have 2 layer effects, a color overlay and an outer glow. So I'm going to right click and say, convert to smart object. I'm going to take the yellow one, convert to smart object. And a little secret here, it's very important that you have all of your glows showing when you do this, because if they're not showing and you make it a smart object and then you show them, the glow will be beyond the bounding box of the smart object. So make your drop shadows, your outer glows, make anything that you apply to it visible before you turn it into a smart object. All right, so that's why I made them visible, and we will just convert those to smart objects. Okay, now when I double click to edit the contents of a smart object, not like that, on the actual layer itself, okay, if I use Command-Shift-T, we can see, here's the parent document. This is the contents of the smart object. That's the PSB portion of it, right? So I'm going to create, using layer comps, 2 states of this document. So I'll click the plus icon, and this is red on. I'm going to keep track of visibility, position, and appearance. So appearance is the layer style. I'm actually not going to change the position or the visibility, but it doesn't hurt to leave them on. I'm not going to add the last one. It doesn't make sense. It will in a minute. I'll click OK. So there's red on, and then I just turn them off, click another one, and off. Okay? Save it, close it. Okay? Do the same thing for yellow. Layer comps. Do the first one, on, turn them off, click it again, off. All right, save and close. Go down to the green, same thing. I think you guys are getting the hang of this. On, all right, turn them off, click the plus, off. All right, save and close. So now the cool thing is, when we look at our properties panel, you will notice that there's a green.psb. And if I go here to red, it says red.psb and yellow. So I can actually access those layer comps from within the properties panel in the parent document. So I can say, oh, I'd like to turn the red light on. What about if I want to save this as a layer comp? Okay, let's look at our layer comps again. Oops, that's my libraries. Kidding. Layer comps. Right, that's my notes. Layer comps, that's the one I want. All right, so now, oh, cheater. It's like I've done this before. Let's throw that away. Yes. All right, so what will I do? I'll click the plus and I'll say this is red light, visibility, position, appearance, and layer comp selection for smart object. Yes. Click OK. I come down here. I turn, well, let's turn that off. Red goes off. Come to yellow. Yellow goes on. Layer comp, yellow on. All the boxes checked. Turn it off. Go down to green. Green on. Right? One more time. I'm getting bored, Julieanne. Julieanne, green. What am I doing, green? Gosh. That was kind of cool. Like sometimes our brains don't work exactly the way we think they should. Oh, that was weird. Okay, green on. See, obviously I can't talk and type. All right, so then we can select all these and we can just go through them. Be like boop, 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 boop. Okay, so this is a very simple example, right? But this can get super complex. Right? You could do this with buttons. You could do it with different states of buttons. You can do it with the visibility of different layers. You can move layers around and save those layer comps. So it's kind of a step up from, let's say, I don't know, clicking on all the eye icons and being like, do you like before or do you like after? Right? So layer comps just save a state of your document. So if I close this and we take this one step further, I can come in here and I can do the same thing, and I've already done it. Basically, I have 3 smart objects, and all of them have multiple options in them. So here I have a bunch of different type treatments. Okay, we don't need to save that. And the other one, I've got a bunch of different foreground elements, and then the last one, I have 2 different backgrounds. So I can come in here with my layer comps and mix and match and select all sorts of different options that go together and try these out and then just save them all within a single document very quickly. And it doesn't take up a lot of space. My file sizes don't get large because they're all in that single document. I'm just showing the visibility, hiding and showing and moving them around and applying layer styles. That's it. Okay, so check out layer. If that seems like something you'd want to do in your workflow, check that out. I already knew all that. Teach me something new. How are you guys doing? Do you guys know all this? Is this good? We're doing okay? Because I saw people leave, and that freaks me out. It does. There's nothing worse. I'm like, oh, maybe they just have to go to the bathroom and they'll be back. But maybe not. Maybe they're going to the bar. Oh, okay, well, they got a free pass. All right. So let's look at smart objects, because just in case you're not really familiar with smart objects, I want to give you at least 6 reasons to use smart objects. So let's open up this document first. So what is this? This is just, we got a bottle here. Speaking about bottles, we got a curve. What is that for? That must go with the text. Yep, there's some text, there's some water, and there's a border. Okay, so we need a photo. So I want this photo. I'm going to right-click on the photo, and I'm going to say, would you please edit this in Photoshop but open it as a smart object? And we know that that's going to take that entire raw document, make a duplicate of it, so it's going to make a copy of it so it doesn't touch your original, and it's going to place that into a Photoshop document, right? But when I do it that way, yeah, it just opened it up, right? It is a smart object, but it's in its own document. So sometimes I find it easier to just do this, which is just dragging and dropping, right? So we could take this and, oh, that was the silly girl. All right, go to Lightroom, come on, and just drag this over. Just drag this over. Just drag this over. Just drag this down. and then we can just drag and drop onto an open document, because when you drag and drop onto an open document, what does it do? It places the image, right? It doesn't embed. Okay, it's going to bring up camera raw. I'm okay with those settings, so we'll go ahead and prepare that smart object, and that's basically doing the same thing as file place, but I didn't have to go find it anywhere. All right, and we know with a smart object that we can, of course, resize this as many times as we want to, and it doesn't lose any, Can I just tell you how happy I am with the engineers for that free transform thing? So now you can just, I don't know if you guys caught that or not at the keynote, but I can just toggle it on. Like now it is locked. Like all my transformations, it doesn't matter if I am using a shape tool, if I've got a pixel-based layer, a smart object, it doesn't matter what kind of layer, a type layer, any type of layer, I will constrain proportions. If I want to toggle it just for one time, I can just hold down the Shift key and it will toggle it. If you're the opposite and you're like, no, I never want to constrain proportions, I'm always doing buttons and I always need to make them different shapes. Great, toggle it off. It'll be off all the time, and then if you want to change it, hold the Shift key. It's so easy. All right, because I was like, hold the Shift key, don't hold the Shift key. I don't know anymore, I've got to go to bed. All right, so I'm just going to make this a little bit larger, and see, look, if I don't want it, I can hold down the Shift key. Why isn't the Shift key working? Hello. Photoshop. Here's the thing. I'm dragging you. I do, but I have the Shift key down. It's a user error. Hold on. You know it is. I did this just as a favor for you. If you went and turned on the Use Legacy Free Transform in previous versions, that was almost a rabbit hole I didn't get out of. All right, if you have that toggled on, then it won't behave as expected. And I just trashed all my preferences because that's what I love to do. All right, so now Command T and it's on. Whew, nice. All right, so now, yes, and Shift, yes. All right, that's awesome. I can only remember so many things. All right, Shift, yes. There we go. Okay, so the other great thing, I said this was placed as a raw file, so what that means is I can go ahead and double click on it and that edits the contents of the raw file, which in this case, because it's raw, it brings it up in camera raw. That's fantastic. So I can say, hey, that's not quite the right color. I want it to be a little bit more towards blue, or maybe I need the exposure to come up just a little bit right down there, or maybe, yeah, that looks good, that's fine. Click OK, it re-renders it from the raw data, so I don't lose any image quality. Just like I don't lose anything when I transform it, I don't lose anything when I go in and change the settings to a raw file because it's parametric editing. So that's fabulous. Okay, so the other advantage, of course, of having smart objects is that you can select multiple layers and then do things to the multiple layers at one time. So if I use, let's go ahead and use convert to smart object. At one point I did a custom keyboard shortcut as Command S for smart object. That is a really stupid one. Don't do that. Don't do that to your friends. Don't do it to your spouses. Quickest way to a divorce. All right, so they are now one smart object, right? So that means I can transform them as a unit. So if I wanted to make this smaller so that it would actually fit on the bottle, not that small. There we go. How about there, about there? That will work. All right, maybe a little bigger. All right, so we can go ahead and transform it, and then I can go in, oh, I didn't even have to apply the transformation. I could have gone right to warp, and if you saw the keynote today, you can see that now we have all these different grid options and stuff. Very cool. I'm gonna actually start with a preset, so we still have those. So in this case, I want it to be a little bit of a bulge, not that big, so let's go to maybe, instead of 50, let's go to 5. How's that? Okay. And then you can always change that, right? You can always say, okay, well, that's a great starting point, but now I'm going to go to custom, and then we could just pick that up, and we can move it around and do whatever we want, right? So I'll bring that up a little, and I'll bring this down a little bit. That'll be great. So we've transformed that, but I can still access all those individual layers, right? By just double clicking on this thumbnail for the smart object, it brings it up in its own window, and then I say, oh, well, maybe I don't want water and rock spring there. Maybe I want to move it up a little bit. Okay, great. So let's look at both of the images. I do a save, and there it moves it. And then I go, you know what? I don't really like the raw file here. Maybe, hey, you know what? Let's apply that, because it's too blah. It's too much. It's too real, all right? So I'm gonna do find. I'm gonna go to oil paint. Huh, that should be good. Yeah, let's apply, look, now it's all like painterly. That's kind of cool. That is pretty cool. That's a cool effect, all right? I've turned off the lighting. The lighting is what gives it all the contrast and the crinkly little brush strokes. Nah, I don't want that. I'll turn that off, just click OK. And because that was a smart object, I automatically got a smart filter, right? So totally non-destructive. You can see it's been added right down here. Here's the oil paint. I can double click on that. It brings up the oil paint settings. I can go ahead and make adjustments to them if I want to, whatever you want to do. You could also change this little icon right here. This will change the opacity and the blend mode of the filter itself, so that's pretty cool. And of course, this is the mask for it, so I could grab that, select the gradient tool. Let's just right click. I don't know if any of you are educators, but if you find yourself in a work environment, or any of you guys, if you're just working on something and who knows, maybe someone else was on your computer and the tool isn't working the way you think it is, maybe you've set the blend mode to something or the opacity or the flow, just right click on the icon for any of these tools and just say reset tool. All right, and it'll just reset that tool to the defaults, which is quite lovely. So now I have all the defaults, so I could just drag out a gradient here, and now we've got the photograph up at the top, and then we've got the painting at the bottom. Not sure I like that, so I'll undo it, but then I'll use Command S, Command W. That'll just save and close it. And then what we could do is we could just make a new layer here and grab our paintbrush. So just tap the B key, the D key for the default colors, and then maybe a little bit bigger of a brush, and maybe 40% or something, and then just go whoosh. And then that looks really great, and that looks awesome. We just leave it like that. No, we just clip that, right? We just use our little clipping mask. So we hold down the Option key and click in between these, and voila, now that shaded edge is just on the edges there. It doesn't go beyond that, and that is way too much still. So we'll bring the opacity of the layer down to like 20%. I don't think it's quite even at the top, but you guys get the idea. So smart objects, they work great with raw files. Of course, you can transform them as many times as you want. You can warp them. You can combine them with other layers so that you can transform and warp them all together. You can edit the contents at any time and make changes to them, and then you can also add your filters to them. But wait, there's more. That's right, there's always more. Okay, so, oh, I forgot, I was gonna replace the contents. See, look, see here, there's this other waterfall. It's really cool, you can replace the contents. Just pretend I did it. Okay, so let's open this one. Forgot to do that, edit the original. Okay, so what's this? Oh, this is a good one. So here, what I want to do, Okay, I failed. All right, so option click. I'm going to option click. If I had a present, I would give it to you. I just want to be liked. All right. So I'm on Iceland 01. You know, if you option click on an artboard, it will zoom to that artboard, which is quite cool. That's where we got the shortcut in full Photoshop now. So if you option click on a layer, it will zoom to the contents of that layer. We don't need these guides, so we can turn them off. I was just going to make a little rectangle here. So what do I have? Probably not a red stroke. And maybe, yeah, let's do it 6 just to make it big. But there's a reason that I'm going to do this. So hold on. It has to do with smart objects, not with building this little thing. So I made a rectangle, pretty simple, but I want to put the rectangle in multiple places. So before I start duplicating the rectangle, let's convert it to a smart object, right? So right click, convert to smart object. Excellent. Zoom out, Command 0 so we can see them all. I'll use the Option key with the Move tool, and we'll just drag that over. And I know they're big and terrible, but you're going to, trust me, we'll need to see them. Okay, so now in the Layers panel, I've got them both selected. Hold down the Option key, and I just drag them to the next artboard, and then I do that again so that I've got them on all those artboards, which is great. But now, of course, we don't want square. We want rounded edges, right? You're like, oh, man. But here's the thing. Because it's a smart object, and I'm duped the smart objects using the Layers panel, they're all instances of the same one, right? So all I need to do is double-click. That brings it up in its own window. And here on the Properties panel is probably the easiest way. You can choose whether you want to do all of the, if you want to link all of the corners or not. And then we can just move this up to what, I don't know, 50? How much is 50? Yeah, okay, that's fine. Save it, close it, and it will update it throughout the document because they're all instances of the same smart object. Make sense? Okay, all right. You can also do a lot of template work with smart objects. So I don't know, again, it's hard because there's a really diverse group of folks here, but I wanted to make a little, it was just a little postcard because I did a book, and so I just thought, well, I'll just place one of my photos. This was a book on motion blur. No, wait, what time are we done? Whew. Okay, all right, panic there for a moment. I'm back, I'm good. Okay, so all I want to do is I just want to swap out the contents of a smart object. So basically, you make your template, and then you just place your document, and then it's really easy, right? If I want to replace the contents of the smart object, all I need to do is, no, not double click on it, is just right click and say replace contents, and then I can just go navigate to 2163. See, I'm learning. 2163. Yeah, I want the name. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, that's the one I want. Why do I have 4 name the same thing? Don't ask, don't go there. Ooh, that came in quite large. So this obviously wasn't the one I'd resized for the demo, but that's okay, just a learning moment. I'll use Command T, and here's the thing, when you use Command T, don't you hate that? Like they're way, like where are my, blah. So the same shortcut, you know how you use Command 0, because that will fit on screen? When you're in free transform, if you use Command 0, it will fit the transformation handles. Oh, I am so sorry that you did not know that. Okay, yeah, so hi, have a good day. All right, hold down the Option key, and if we need to, because it depends on if you have a, so I'm so sorry you didn't know that. That's painful. All right, and then you get, okay, all right. I'll just move on quickly, okay. So this could be very interesting. Do you guys reuse the same assets over and over again? Are there some? Okay, so let me just open this up. I'm just going to open this. It's just a really short example, but here I have a bunch of layers, right, that make up this flame, and let's turn that on. Okay, so we've got this little match with the flame, and I'm going to go to my Libraries panel, and I'm going to add this, and it would probably, I could put them in a group, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to drag, let's put them in a group, Command G. So there's a group, and it's called Flame. Okay, this could be anything. And then I'm going to drag this into my library. So now I have this flame twice. Let's delete this one because I don't want to get confused. Okay, so I've got this. I don't know if that's the right one. I'm going to delete that one too. Okay, let's try that again. Boom, right there. There's my flame. Okay, So I can now close this document, right? And then I could just open another document. Oh, here's another good one. Did you know that you can, if you're in the home screen, you don't have to go like, just tap escape. Gone. Let me do it again, in case you didn't catch it. Escape. Gone. All right. Because when you can actually turn that off. There is a general preference if you don't want it, but I actually like that because a lot of times I go back to the same recently opened files. So anyway, so what was I going to do? I was going to open up a new document. Oh, it's so fast now. It's fantastic, but I don't want the clipboard. I want the default Photoshop size. Okay, great. And I drag and drop the flame over there. That's terrific. And we do Command T, and we make this a little bit smaller. And you guys, I know. Well, I tried to learn. I tried to learn for 6 months, and now I'm back to relearning. So let's just do 50 and 50. Okay. All right. So I've got this open. So what am I trying to teach you? When you drag and drop an asset into the Libraries panel, and then you drag and drop it from the Libraries panel into an open document, you get a different icon, right? You get this little creative cloud, so it's linked to the cloud. You get that icon instead. Now, if you hold down the Option key when you drag and drop, it won't do that. Or the Alt key on Windows, it just places it. In fact, I'll just do it. Here, watch. Look at Option drag. It just came in at the size, so it didn't resize it because it's not placing it. It's just dropping it in there, and I have that whole group of the flame image. So I don't want that, so I'll tap delete. But I'm showing you this because there's an instance where it might be a little weird. So I'm just going to save this. We can just do a quick save as, and this will be a test to the desktop. All right, so there's my test, and then I close the file. And then I hit escape, and then I come back in here and I double click on the flame, and I turn off one of the layers. Okay, so let's hide that orange flame. All right, and then I save it and I close it. Well, I don't know if you noticed or not, but it actually changed the asset in the cloud, right? So when I go and say File Open, and I go to the desktop and I go to my test file, this one doesn't change, because we don't want to do that. Like, that would be so uncool, right, to automatically change it, because we don't know actually at this point if you want to change it or not. You might not want to. But now there's a little exclamation mark right here. See a little warning icon right there. And so I could right-click there and say, no, don't right-click on the icon. Right-click over here. All right, and then say, hey, I want to modify that content. So I'm going to update the modified content. So now those two match. But there is one instance that might be a little confusing, because if you have a document open that has a linked Creative Cloud Smart object, and then I double click on this one to open it, and then I make a change, like I just turn the orange and the red on, but the yellow isn't. If I save this, watch what happens. Let's just close the library for a minute. I'm going to save this. This is the one that's in the cloud. I save it. Because this document is open, it will update it. It's a feature. Because you have that document open, but it might not be what you expect. Okay, but it is actually a cool feature. All right, let's close both of those, close that. We need to talk a little bit more about automation, so let's come in here. Okay, this is a project that I just did. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, probably not, but let's bring this back up here. So thank goodness for automation. Let's go to full screen. So it was kind of interesting because at one point, let's just make sure I know where I am here. Okay, so I did this project, and I just was noticing that when I was looking through my images, that when I was in certain locations, I made much more successful images than when I was in other locations. And so I started comparing the images, and then I started noticing that it was the color palette of those locations that was having an influence on whether or not I was making what I thought were more successful images. So I decided to do a little study. So I do these little projects all the time, and this one, the way I do projects is it's kind of 3 steps. So like I have to define the project, right? So I write it down and I define it, and then I have to limit the scope because otherwise I'll go crazy. And then I have to commit to it, so I do that verbally with a small group of friends. So I defined the scope of the project was I was gonna make 25 of these panoramas from 25 locations, photos I'd already shot, didn't need to go anywhere and do anything. Limit the scope, like I had 6 weeks to do it, so that means like, almost, one night during the week. And then I committed to friends, and they didn't commit me to the hospital, so I figured it was good. So like this one's Berlin, and or that one was Berlin, and then this one is, I believe, Joshua Tree. No, this one's Joshua Tree. I don't remember where that one is. This one is Alaska, which was crazy. This one is Yellowstone. Yes. Arizona. No, Arizona. Utah. Arizona. White Sands. Shanghai. Tokyo. Anyway, I thought it was fascinating. Oh, Antarctica. So I thought it was really cool. I thought this was a cool project. So the first time I did it, it took me forever to do the first one, but I just want to show you how cool actions can be, right? So here's what I did. I picked 50 images from each location, right? So here's my 50 images, and then I ran a blur on all of them. So I blurred them all. All right, no big deal. I just went to open them up. I ran an action that did a path blur, and it just ran the path blur vertically. I did it twice at the maximum amount. Then I cropped a sliver out of each one of these, all right, and then I re-imported them in the Lightroom, because then you can do a select all, go to survey view, and now I could see them all. And then I could go in here because I'm in survey view, and I could rearrange them and put them into the order that I wanted them in, which, just to let you know, there's a lot of different options. Yeah, just think about your license plates. There's a lot of options with that, and there's only like 6 or 7 numbers, okay? Tons of options. Then what I did is I exported them, all right? And then I wrote a whole bunch. I know, I didn't. If there's any engineers in here, I'm sorry, I know, I did not write them. I recorded some actions in Photoshop, right? I didn't write anything. I just used what you coded, and then I just kind of recorded it. Okay, so let's get out of button mode for a minute, and let's just look at these. So this made it infinitely easier. This is my little colors of place. So here's my action for blurring it twice, for cropping it, for then creating a new guide. So boom, there it is. Drag, and then see, I put up a little, I don't know if you guys know this, you can put a little, what do we call it, a stop, insert stop, and then you can type something in. So if you need to tell someone, because if you're not going to be the one running the action, you can put a little pause in there, and then you can either allow them to continue or not. So if they have to make a selection, you can be like, don't continue, or go ahead and continue afterwards. It's whether or not they have to push a button. You can also insert conditionals, right? So if it's a horizontal image, do this. If it's a vertical image, do this. You can insert menu items, so there are some things like zoom to fill screen or zoom to 100% that you can't record when you're going through the action, even though it says to record. Some menu items won't be recorded, so if you find one of those, just say insert menu item, and then just go up and say, all right, well, which menu item do you want? And you could do like view and then fit on screen, and it would insert that into your action. Okay. I have a whole, there's a whole bunch of stuff online with actions and stuff, so don't worry if I'm talking too fast right now. You can, there's plenty of resources for that. I just want to show you what's possible. So then basically what happened is, let's go to Lightroom and let's go find out where these are on the hard drive. So I'm just going to say show in Finder, which I'm sure you're seeing, and I'm not. Okay, Command R. Let's do that. Grid. Please, these people, there's people watching. Okay, all right, so now I just need to select all of these, so that's easy, and then let's go to Photoshop, make that visible, go to the Finder, and then we can just drag and drop this down. I don't know why it's giving me that icon. I just want, hello. Ugh. Sorry, it's my first day with a computer, and these things are really foreign to me. Okay, drag and drop it right down. Why you don't love me right now? I never loved you. All right, sorry, it's all, oh, they're recording this. Like I said, sometimes the jokes are just for me. So, all right, what's it doing? It's grabbing all 50 of those images. Oh, here's the important safety point that I was going to make was I went to my preferences so that it's not asking me to apply the transformation every time. You know what I mean? When I go here to Command K and we go to preferences and it says skip transform when placing, so it doesn't bring up the transformation dialog box every time. Otherwise, I would have had to hit enter 50 times right then. Okay? Resize image during place? Yeah. That just resizes if it's really big and it places it small, so it's going to be a smart object anyway, so you don't lose anything if it transforms it down. And then create smart objects when placing. Yes, I have it do that, although I think when I got down to this, I didn't need the smart object because at this point I had the exact size I needed. So for this project, I turned it off because it saved me a ton of time. All right, so then all I do is I've got a little distribute action, right? So I can just hit play, and basically it goes and it selects like the bottom layer, the background layer, and then it selects one up. and then it moves it over to the left, and then it selects the top layer, and then it moves it over to the right, and then it just says distribute, and then it just distributes it. I can see it. It's thinking. There we go. Oh, wrong folder. I picked the wrong folder of images. So when I exported these in Lightroom, I know exactly what I did. What a bummer. But let me show you what I did, because see, you can learn so much from my mistakes. When I hit export, what I didn't do is down here under image size, what I was going to do is I was going to say, okay, go the long dimension and make the long, go the long edge and make it 6,000 pixels. Right, and 6,000, and if you don't do that, then some of them I had cropped in their originals, and so they didn't come in the full size, so that's why that happened. But you won't care, you'll be forgiving. And I'll come back over here, and we'll pretend like they're all the right size. And then all I did was I had one more action that just said copy merged, and then I ran a blur on it, another blur on top of it. And then I had one more that just made a little border here. I'm not going to do the copy, merge, and blur because it'll probably take like 3 or 4 minutes, and that's too much time. So I'll just do that, and whew, we'd be done. And then that's kind of cool. And you know, it kind of makes me want to do this. Like go to layer, or go to image, canvas rotation. Like this is clockwise and counterclockwise for those of you who have never had a clock that has hands on it. So clockwise is going to go that way. Yeah, never mind. All right. Okay, so I probably shouldn't have done that. That's going to take a second. All right. Can I just talk to you a little bit about presets? We only have 5 minutes left, but I really think it's really important because I just thought that looked kind of cool with the top part. Now it starts, you know, that might, okay, anyway. So that would be kind of a cool project, something like that. So you guys can do this project. It's fun. I encourage you to. There's a movie on my website that tells you exactly how to do it. You can download the actions and everything. Okay? Because then what I was really thinking was, okay, if every location has a color of place, and I understand that there's biases by the time I was there and what I photographed and what images I picked and then where I cut the slivers out of the images and stuff, but then wouldn't it be cool if you could wrap this in with augmented reality so that if you went to like White Sands or you went to any of the locations and you took a picture, it automatically got uploaded, you could hashtag it or something, and then we could blur it and cut a sliver of it and it could add it to the left. And then as people added this, you could actually see an interactive live color palette of the location that you were in at that time. That would be awesome. Someone do that. Okay? All right. I can't. I'm busy today. I can't today. Okay, stop motion. I have a video on that, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, let's talk about this. So I do have this video I just published today as well. And the reason that I want to just spend, I have 4 minutes left with you guys, but here's the thing. The way that we've redone presets is amazing. All right, but if you don't know a lot about different types of layers, it might be a little bit difficult. So what I just want to show you here, let me switch my workspace to JK presets. Okay, so now I have my swatches, gradients, and patterns, right? So it's really easy if I come here and I just option click, right, on my wheat illustration, right, that's going to zoom me into that area. That is like a really cool feature in and of itself. Now, if I want to change the color of these, I can go ahead and click on any image, right, or any layer, and I could change the color of it, or I could drag on top of the layer in the layers panel, or I could drag actually to a layer so that if there was a layer that wasn't selected, I can drag to that one as well. All right, and I can do the same thing with gradients, right? So I could grab a gradient, select the gradient. I could select multiple layers and then just click on a gradient. So that's because, and let me drag that onto those. Boom. Drag it on. Hello. You. There. Photoshop. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, that's the effect I wanted. So, well, we're recording it. I'll figure out what I did wrong. So that's great, because why? Because I can also go over to patterns, right? And I could go ahead and I could apply a pattern to one of these as well by just dragging it on top of it, okay? Because shapes understand fills of patterns, gradients, and colors, right? Because if I just go to my shape tool, I've got fills of patterns, gradients, and colors. When you get to text, though, things get a little different. So if we option click on the text, option clip on the text here. All right, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. Now if I go to my swatches, sure enough, I click on a swatch and I drag it, it'll change the color. If I drag it over here, it'll drag it to Wild Wheat Farm. Okay, so text understands a solid color fill. It doesn't understand a gradient. So what's going to happen when I drag a gradient over here? It's going to add an effect. Right? That makes sense once you start thinking about it. Like, oh, okay, because you can't have a gradient in a text. You can only have an effect. Okay, I get it. That makes sense. Same with the patterns. All right? But here's the thing that I don't want you to get stumped on. If I now drag the pattern on top, I don't see the pattern. Why not? It's under the gradient, exactly. So you know about layer effects. You know there's a stacking order here. So it did change it. And the other thing I think that's going to happen is you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to change the color of this text, and you'll drag a swatch on it, but the swatches are added as a fill because text understands fill. So now if I toggle off the effect, we can see that it's blue because the fill. Okay, now when I go to a pixel layer, let's zoom out. I've got a pixel layer down here. If I click on a color, it's just going to change my foreground color. But if I drag a swatch, now I get a color fill layer, and it's going to clip it, and then I can just change the blend mode to color. Oh, that wasn't color. That was luminosity. To color. And the cool thing about adding a gradient fill layer is you get the mask. Right? So if I wanted to change the color of this, I can go ahead and do that, right? So let's get something that's kind of more yellowy. Actually, let's get a gradient. So if I go to my gradient, I'm just going to bring that down. That's probably going to add a second. Nope, it just changed the gradient right there. So now I have a nice gradient. But I could also say, hey, you know what? I really don't want that. Grab my gradient tool in the mask, reset the tool, and then just drag it down. Oh gosh, that's not very visible, but can you guys see that? Let me just change the gradient real quick. Oh, this is not going to be pretty. Okay, oh, hey, not so bad. All right, so I'm just saying, depending on the content of the layer, you're going to get something different when you drag and drop from your swatches and your gradients and your patterns based on whether or not the contents of the layer can support it. And then one other thing that might throw you is I've got this nice little hen shape. If I drag and drop it into the image area right now, where's it going to go in the stacking order? Yes, it depends. If I drag it over here, it's going to go above the background. Oh, well, I didn't want that. So you have to hit return, and then I'll hit delete. If I drag and drop it on the text, then it will add it up here in the layers panel. But I couldn't figure out why when I was dragging and dropping shapes, they kept going to the background. I was expecting them to land above the shape I had selected, but then I should have just dragged it on top of that shape. By the way, if you want to combine shapes, the same keyboard shortcuts work. So if you drag out one shape and then add the shift key, it'll add to the shape. If you hold down the option key, it'll subtract it from the shape, and then its shift option will intersect the shape. Same with the path commands, okay? So now we can just hit return or enter, use the move tool for V. We'll just scoot that right up here. We've got our little hen. Oh, this is why I take pictures and don't do design. But you're not judging me. Look, that's kind of cute for what I look at. Oh, look. Hello, I am from the wheat farm. Oh, I'm going backwards now. Okay, I love it living here. All right, you guys, it's 6:32. I'm 2 minutes over. I'm very sorry to keep you. So have a lovely rest of the Max, and I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned something.